Hi, my name is Anna Serin and I'm Director of Listings Development with the Canadian Securities Exchange. Today I was joined by none other than Brent Cook as part of the CSE podcast series during the VRIC conference in 2025. Brent today joined us and we talked about all things investors need to look out for when they're reading technical reports or press releases and trying to make investment decisions. Brent Cook founded Exploration Insights in 2008. He shared editing responsibilities with Joe Mazumdar from December 2015 to 2017 and has since transitioned into the role of senior advisor. As a seasoned geologist, Brent's knowledge spans all areas of the mining business, from the conceptual stage through to detailed technical and financial modeling related to mine development and production. He has worked in over 60 countries and in virtually all geological environments, analyzing and providing commentary on proposed mine sites. I am joined by none other than the wonderful Brent Cook. Thank you for joining me, Brent.
Thanks for the invitation.
I'm so glad that we were able to put on the sunshine for all of our guests here in Vancouver this week. It's not the typical rainy week, so I hope you're enjoying that.
I'm surprised.
We're all a little surprised. I think it's been the rainiest season since 1913, so it did come in your honor, all of this wonderful sunshine and a little cooler. I know that you're busy at VRIC this year. You're on a few different panels and talking about a few different items, but I am thankful for you to join us here today. What I'd like to get into with you, Brent, because I know you talk about this a lot, is decoding exploration news. I think that we have entered an era where there's a lot of retail investors that would like to invest in the resource sector, but it is a very complicated and technical sector to be able to make investment decisions, especially if people are trying to guide themselves. One thing that we do have as public company requirements is this continuous disclosure, where they issue press releases with lots of technical information. So I'm wondering if you can help us today a little bit, be able to maneuver those maybe with less experience than you and be able to make those decisions. So why don't we just start with some of the things that you do when you approach a press release if you were a less than skilled investor in the space?
Well, I think, the first thing you've got to realize is this, like you say, is a very technical, scientific business. We're looking at geology. We're generally exploring for things that you cannot see at surface. So you don't have the full data set. You've just got concepts and a bit of data from the surface or whatever geophysics, whatever you can use to see into the ground. And I think the second thing to recognize is that it's a unique set of geologic characteristics and circumstances that have to come together to form an economic mineral deposit. I mean, gold doesn't sell for $2,700 an ounce because it's easy to find, right? So I think you've got to take those things into consideration to start. And then when you start talking to a company or looking at a company, you need to get a feeling for an understanding of what are they actually looking for. And is it a big porphyry copper deposit, big bulk mineable thing? Is it a narrow vein gold deposit? And then what are the economics that it's going to take, given the location, that the economic hurdle is going to be for them to find something economic? And it's quite often that people will release positive drill results or positive news. I mean, that's what the news release is for.
That's right.
You don't see them rarely coming out saying, we screwed up, there's nothing here. Sorry.
So even if it's not the best news, there's always going to be some element of a positive spin on it to keep their investors attracted, right?
Precisely.
Okay.
Precisely. And so what my job and what Joe Mazumdar's job is at Exploration Insights is to actually decipher that news and determine if it actually is positive towards what the company is looking for or negative. And given the odds of success are in the order of 1 in 1,000, we know most of these are not going to make it. But you can still make really good money on a stock if you see the fatal flaw ahead of the crowd. And that's not that hard to do.
Okay, now you've talked about the fatal flaw before. Tell us what you mean when you say fatal flaw.
There's going to be something in the data that they're collecting that clicks off and go, okay, this is not going to work. It might be the continuity in the mineralization. You take for instance a gold vein. If you've got a piece of gold here and another one 20 meters down, and you happen to drill into that, you're going to get a real high value. But you cannot extrapolate that very far because it's really only that large.
Right.
So this continuity is a real issue. So you look for good, consistent values in sampling,
Right.
be it a drill hole or a trench or whatever. You want to see consistent numbers that are repeatable, because when you do a resource, you take that bit of data and really you're working with a piece of core that's cut in half, that bit, a meter or whatever, is ground down, and then 30 grams is pulled out of that, and that's what the assay is.
Right.
So you're taking a very minuscule sample and trying to project it over tens of meters.
Okay, so when you take a look at drill results, will you go back to maybe the original 43101 and take a look at some of the historical data? Because I'm assuming when they put drill results into a press release, they're just showing you kind of, those few holes that they drilled. Do you ever compare it with some of the more historical data that they have on the property? Or can you just go by what's in the press release?
No, that's a key point. Too many properties and companies have seen up to decades of exploration. And so a legitimate company will somehow let you know that there are other drill holes in this area, or what's been done before. And that will be in a technical report. In a news release of drill holes, they'll often, or they should, show the drill holes they just did, but also have traces of all the other drill holes. And you want to look to see what those other drill holes are.
Okay.
All too often, a company will start off, pick up an old dog property, and go in and re-drill the best hole to confirm. Well, the fact is that one hole wasn't the problem; it's all the others. They're not confirming the negative; they're confirming
listen,
the positive.
that's a smart move. It's a smart move. So pay attention to: is this a drill hole that has already, or something very similar has been drilled to reconfirm results? Mm-hmm. And it's maybe putting lipstick on a pig, so to speak.
Exactly. You want to see all the data, and a legitimate company should provide that data. And if it's not there, I mean, most of these guys are small companies. You can call up and ask what else has been done, or look at the website. There should be some historical data or technical report to go out and look at.
Now, do you have a feeling either way, if let's say it's an early stage property, do you have a feeling either way if the company starts with a small program and builds their way up, or do you think companies should be going in with a heavier, more robust program?
Well, it comes down to cost, and it's really tough to raise money. So I think let's just call it a virgin property.
Okay.
I'm looking at one in Peru now.
Okay.
And they've done the initial work. They've gone in, take stream sediment samples. Okay, there's gold and copper in the stream sediments, and they follow it up, start trenching and taking rock chip samples, and okay, they're onto something. It looks, there's something going on here.
Yeah.
Then they do the geophysics, and it says yes, there's some sort of potentially mineralized body here. Okay. So it's a slow process, and then once you get all the data you can, that's when you drill. You don't want to go in and drill too early. You need as much information as possible, and often even the drilling is just another bit of information that tells you we're close, we've hit it, or there's nothing there.
Right.
And you've got to evaluate all that data, and that goes back to what I'm saying. This is not a simple science. It's it's like medicine. What do I know about cancer drugs?
Right.
But am I going to go read a company's news release about cancer and know what they're talking about?
Absolutely.
Really, not really.
Absolutely. Now, as far as not all things being equal, is there information that you should be aware of or understand knowledge around the way that people explore or do drill programs for different commodities? Obviously, for rare earths, you might do a different type of drilling than you would for precious metals. Is that something that an unsophisticated investor should have an understanding about?
I think there's too many variables there.
Okay.
I think go back to what really a company should backtrack and start with what they need to be economic, whatever their commodity is, what they need to find, and then from there backtrack it to the initial exploration and make sure that everything they do points toward, yes, this is the economic hurdle and we still are reaching those goals. And more often than not, they won't. They may not make that obvious to you. But if you do the research and study it, I've made probably more money on stocks that started to look good, and I go, wait a minute, there's a problem here. The recovery is real poor. There's a problem with getting the gold out of the rock.
Yeah.
And you make money selling there, and eventually it goes down back like this. So you really have to know what's going on. And I think it helps to have, if you're not in the industry yourself, to have someone in there, either a broker you can trust, a letter writer, something like that you can actually trust, that knows the industry and is working for you and not the company.
Well, I think you bring up a really good point. I think Canada has been such an amazing host to the exploration space on a global platform. And we really used to have a lot more of the salespeople that would take a look at technical reports day in and day out, and they would put their clients into various projects. I think more and more we've seen this movement into the discount brokerage type of investment model, especially I think in the speculative space or in the junior space, when the stock prices are smaller, people want to save money on the cost of their buying and selling. So they typically will go to a discount brokerage house to be able to make those trades. On that note, when people are using that platform, where do you suggest people go to do their due diligence?
You've got to have someone you can trust.
Okay.
And I think, I use a full service brokerage. I got Sprott in Carlsbad in the U.S. And Joe Mazumda, who writes a letter, he and I read his letter, I see other letters, but I also, in general, you get what you pay for.
Yes.
In my opinion. And I see, like over here at VRIC and other of these shows, I see these people talking who, like last year they were doing cannabis.
Yeah.
And, they're not experts.
That's right.
And they're somehow getting compensated not for giving you good information, but for giving you information that someone wants you to give them.
That's
if
right.
That makes sense. So I think, again, look at whoever you're listening to. Yeah, whoever you listen to, what's their background?
Yeah.
Have they really done it? I mean, I've spent years in the bush, taking rock samples and mapping and drilling holes. And then I joined up with Rick Rule and was his analyst, and I learned the hard way how to lose money in the stock market. And those are all experience.
That's an easy thing to do, I think, in the resource sector. That is something that's easy. Can you talk to us about Exploration Insights and what kind of information you can find in there?
Yeah, that's a newsletter I started back in 2008.
Okay, before you go into there, why don't we tell our audience about newsletter writers and what opportunity is there for them? Because I don't know if they're getting utilized as much as they should be, considering we don't have people using full service brokerage firms anymore.
Right. Well, let's call them influencers.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, there you go. We got your
Bingo.
attention now, didn't we?
And really, that's all it is.
Right.
It's people who are respected in the industry and have enough experience to, provide decent information.
Yeah.
Not all newsletters are the same.
Right.
Not all newsletter writers or influencers know what they're talking about.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's helpful.
So if you're listening to somebody, what's their background and how are they making money?
Right.
What's their business model?
Right.
Like with
are they being paid for by the company or by the client? Is one way to decipher the two.
Yeah, exactly.
Ways.
I mean, Exploration Insights is a paid for letter. The only money we get, or Joe gets now, is from subscribers.
Yeah.
We do a lot of site visits. Like he was on 33 projects last year.
Wow.
And so the companies pick up those expenses.
Yeah.
But, trust me, traveling for hours to get somewhere is not a luxury. I don't know if you've been on Air Canada recently. But anyway.
Papua New Guinea might be more comfortable than a seat on Air Canada in the back.
Almost. But yeah, how that's how Exploration Insights makes its money, is through subscribers. And then what what the letter's about is what Joe is actually buying with his money and why.
Right. And so the reason that that's important is because companies they pay to have their information disseminated and to promote their project, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for unbiased information, you pay as a subscriber. So the information that you're getting from the two of you is your views not being paid for by the company.
Yeah, I think that's kind of important.
Right, very important, unbiased. So I think there's a value in subscribing to these newsletters, and if you're going to invest in the space, there's a lot of value in taking the time and spending the money. You get what you pay for, right?
I think so. I mean, again, going back to this is a real complicated science.
Yeah.
Your odds are really low of success, but if you get it right, your 10 plus baggers happen, or
That's
2 to
right.
3 are often.
Yeah.
Just the key is sell. When something is not working, sell it. Don't
get emotionally attached.
Yeah, hope is not really a good investment strategy.
That's tough for us that love the sector, right? Because
Yes.
we've all been emotionally attached at some point. Okay, my next question for you is, one thing that we talk about as far as investment is how important the team is. Is there anything that's really key for you when looking at a management or exploration team from a smaller public company who's in exploration cycle? What are key things that you want to see in the team?
I want to see people working in a region that they're familiar with.
Okay.
Because whatever country or part of that country you're in, you need to know the local culture, the people, the rules and regulations. That you've got to interact with these, because often we're the first people on the ground talking to the local landowners and stuff.
Right.
So you need to have people that can do that.
Right.
And then going up the chain, the people in charge have to have some sort of understand finance and know when to finance, how to finance.
Track record of raising capital.
A track record would be nice, but someone they got to start somewhere. So pick a smart, honest person.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Who's spending almost all their money on the ground and not on promotion or
Right.
whatever.
Absolutely. Maybe just if we could switch gears a little bit and just talk about as we enter 2025. I think, we do take a look at past cycles, economic cycles, to make decisions and see potential reactions in the market. For example, we're seeing kind of gold prices where they're at now. What we're not seeing is the typical trend of that flow of capital into maybe the exploration space or the mining space with the prices in gold. So we're in different times. We've come out of a global pandemic. We have some geopolitical movements that are brand new to us as a community, and relationships that are being bridged or unbridged with various other countries. What are your views on 2025? Is there a commodity you like? Is there a geographic location you like? Is there anything that has got you hopeful in 2025 in the resource sector?
I think the next few years is going to be just change and chaos.
Okay.
For
Markets love change and chaos.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean,
But there is usually some great outliers in change and
well,
chaos.
I think precious metals, particularly gold, should do well.
Yeah.
I mean, right now we're at about $2,700 an ounce. That is a really
It's
good
unbelievable.
price.
Yeah.
And the stocks, the gold mining stocks and such, have really not reacted to that.
Okay.
And exploration stocks, likewise, they haven't really reacted to that reality.
Yeah.
And I think the gold price is set to do really well. I don't know if we're going to have a recession this year or next. People have been predicting it for quite a while, and I think, there's just so much uncertainty out there that it's likely. And
So many moving tides too, right?
Yeah,
I mean, even with Trudeau just announcing his resignation, who knows what's going to happen the next 10 months in Canada, across the border.
Well, my understanding is you're going to be the 51st state.
I've heard that rumor. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't think you'd want that. So I think gold is going to do well.
Yeah.
I can see into the future, copper is definitely going to be in more and more demand.
Yes.
If we have a recession, that's not going to help the share price or the price of copper in the short term, but long term,
Do you think that would mean a buying opportunity then?
Exactly.
If there's downward pressure?
Yeah, I mean, I own a number of copper stocks now.
Okay.
I'm not selling them, but I'm anticipating that there may be a chance to add to those.
You might go back in and...
Exactly. I think rare earths are a good place to be if you're in the right type of deposit, which is an ionic clay rare earth deposit.
Okay.
Way better than our hard rock one.
Do you mind describing the difference between those two? If that's
the
easy to do.
Yeah, okay, so rare earths are usually really complexly tied at the atomic level in the mineral.
Okay.
So it's extremely hard to get out of that. But if you had tens of millions of years of weathering on that rock, whatever it is, it's been liberated.
Okay.
So it's free. So it's much easier, cheaper, and environmentally safer to extract it from an ionic clay versus a hard rock deposit.
Okay.
And the issue is almost all the rare earths come from China right now.
That's right.
And we're trying to get out of that. So you've got some really good ionic clay deposits in Brazil, which is, a good trading partner, and et cetera, et cetera. So you want to look for something like that.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Well, listen, I wish you all the best to enjoy the rest of the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. I hope that we can maybe do a part 2 of this session, because this is even incredible or very helpful to me, and I've been doing this for quite some time. So thank you very much for your insights. Where can we get more information on what you're thinking about as you move forward in 2025?
I would say explorationinsights.com. Lots of information there. That's Joe's website.
Yeah.
I put a few things there, but it's just what Joe does.
Joe Mazumder. And Joe has been around for a long time, and his insights are incredible. He's a very smart man.
He's done it all.
Yeah, he's done it all.
So I would look there for sure. It's a lot of free information.
All right, well, we'll take a look at your website. Brent, thank you again for your time today, and I look forward to chatting again soon.
Thanks. That was nice.